Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics. I am so excited to bring you a gigantic shrimp room. I think this is what happens when you take a hobby and turn it into a passion. It's not even a shrimp room. It is a giant shrimp room, shrimp house. I hope you enjoy the video. You're gonna learn a lot about shrimp. You're gonna see all kinds of different shrimp when you've got a home that's got many hundreds of shrimp tanks. There's going to be a lot of variety there. Big thank you to Grant and Shelby for having me over, allowing me to film this awesome fish room that you have. Hope you enjoy the video. Appreciate you being here.
Welcome to the Garden of Eden. I'm Grant.
And I'm Shelby.
And this is our house. Alright, so most of the shrimp keepers, when they first get into shrimp keeping, they think about Neocaridina, the reds, blues. We have the greens inside. They're easier to keep an eye on and grade and tell the difference between a cull and what's going to be a really nice shrimp, because when they're outside, they're getting such nice sunlight and a little tan, and almost all the shrimp look really good. So most of the room is Caridina, and making that jump from Neos to Caridina can be like a little sketchy. A lot of people are nervous. They don't want to spend, the money, the time, and getting the aqua soil and RO water with GH only minerals. So the option for you that would be best, and it's super hardy, these things are tanks, are going to be the Tangerine Tigers. So those are like the first thing you see right when you walk into the room. And these guys, like I said, they can withstand some of the widest range of parameters, a little bit more hardy than Neocaridina, I think, on the low end spectrum of pH. They're not going to be as high of a pH, but I've kept these in 8 pH before. So where the Neos you could probably go to like 8.5, I wouldn't really do that with these, but they're going to be able to breed and thrive in most tap water. And then another really easy tiger shrimp, it's almost just as hardy, I think they take a little bit longer to grow up and a little bit slower of a breeder, but they can just withstand almost as wide of a range, are the Super Tigers. So if you don't like orange and you're not a big fan, these Super Tigers, there's a little bit of yellow on the face, but they got some nice blue stripes, and they're another big favorite for a lot of people who want to keep two types of shrimp in the same tank and don't want to have to worry about crossbreeding and getting the wilds, the browns, and stuff like that. So Tangerine Tigers and Super Tigers are great options. And then I think the next step up is going to be the orange-eyed blue tigers. These are really what caught my attention and got me into the shrimp hobby. I just thought, and still to this day, they're one of the coolest shrimp. I like it when they can get a little bit more older and more mature, and they get the kind of purple cover over. We call that the rusty effect. All right, then we're going to take it up another level yet again. We're not going to quite dive right into the bee shrimp, but we're going to do a hybrid where it's a mix of bee and tiger shrimp, and the tiger genes inside the shrimp make it a little bit more hardy. And I think the ones that pop the most are going to be the yellow King Kongs here. You can do any tang tie, which are going to have the Tangerine Tiger genes in them. They are super hardy. They can take almost up to 7.4 in the pH and still be able to breed and produce babies. So and then in this tank alone, we've got several different varieties of the yellow King Kong. Now the normal King Kong sell for about $3 to $4, but then you have several different morphs that can come out. Even though there is a Hummel tiger shrimp in there, I'm just trying to see if the tiger shrimp will crossbreed with the yellow King Kongs. However, all of the babies, all the morphs that are in there, so if you see any of the ones with white heads or anything like that, those are pure yellow King Kongs. That is a morph that has come out. I haven't seen it on any other shrimp, so it's like one of a kind thing. If you just So here we got some green tigers. I crossed these using yellow King Kongs and Aurora blue tigers, and I really never sell any of the green ones because if you can see, I don't know how it picks up on camera, but very few of them have any green hue to them. And what happens is I'll take that one, and you know, the couple of them that have a little bit of green hue to them, I'll move those all into one tank all by themselves. And then a week later, those ones will be bright orange, and then everything left in the coal tank that I left behind, those will be the green ones. So they're very moody and they can kind of flip-flop colors. So they've been a really difficult strain to work with, but still green's my favorite color, so I keep trying. All right, so the next phase is going to be the bee shrimp. We've got the crystal blacks as well as the crystal reds, and then these guys have taken the food and gone into the back of the tank. But those are like the candy cane shrimp. They are the most popular Caridina shrimp probably on the market. So Shelby wanted her own row of shrimp so that she can start competing, because when we were at the last aquatic experience, there was a couple of the Taiwan breeders who, you know, as a couple, they entered different groups. So Shelby was like, oh, I want to enter my own shrimp and get her own line going. So she's been working really hard with her Galaxy Pintos, and I'm not sure if this is her main tank or her backup tank, but she's done really well breeding these out. So then the Thai bees are nice, but there is a step up when you get all of the pigment to disappear and there's no gaps, so no translucent. You get the fancy Thai bees, fancy tigers, and these things are really nice. You can keep black and red in the same colony going. They're not going to make brown or anything like that. And what I do is I focus on pattern first, and then I separate out for color. So what I've done is I've got the blacks in this tank, the reds in this tank, but I haven't culled for a long time, so the blacks do produce some of the reds, but since the red gene is recessive, I don't get any blacks out of the tank. And then, so unlike the Neocaridina where you crossbreed different species and they revert back to the wild type and you lose money because you take $3 shrimp and cross them together and then you get 50-cent shrimp, these are where you can kind of crossbreed them and they start to make new patterns, new colors and stuff like that. They're not ever going to be able to revert to their natural pattern or anything like that. And a lot of times when you cross one shrimp to another shrimp, you can't ever go back and get the pure shrimp with Caridina. So with these guys, you never have to worry about them getting ugly. You can just make sure that, you know, if you want to keep them looking nice, you keep the ones with the most dots, the most stripes, and anything else like that you would remove and keep the colony going nice. And then we've got Shelby's second tank of her Galaxy Pintos right here. And Shelby, is this your better tank or your secondary tank, or what are you doing? Are you going in the two different directions here? I don't know. She doesn't tell me these things. She just likes to do them. And
that's the original quality. The other tank is better quality now, and I will be splitting that colony up soon. Darkers will be going in one tank, and then more white pattern will be going into its own separate tank.
And then my favorite shrimp to cross is going to be the orange-eyed shrimp. So we've got kind of a mixed match of different phenotypes going in here. But my main goal is to be producing orange-eyed green tigers. So I've got a few different phenotypes, and every now and then I get a nice green one out of there, but it's still a work in progress. It's just like a new project that I just started working on last year. And then we don't just have shrimp, even though a majority of our tanks are shrimp. We do have a couple of Danios down here with some longfin, albino bristlenose, and then we've got some super reds and some other Danios in their tank as well.
I didn't even notice that.
And then Shelby also has her orange laser cory cats in here also. So we got these rabbit snails at the last Pasco auction. These are the orange variety of the Sulu SA rabbit snails. They only give one baby a month, and it's live birth. They don't lay eggs or anything like that. And if you look right there, there's a little tiny baby. And I mean, I've had them for 2 months. I think that's the only baby I've gotten so far, so I should be getting another baby any day now. But they devour plants. So if you have them in a planted tank with some real soft stems or something like that, they go through and they eat it quite a bit. I threw these ones in there around the same time, and they're a little bit smaller, but there was a lot more subwasser tang in that tank than when I threw them in there.
Will they eat green hair algae?
I don't think they eat very much algae. Not a lot of things actually eat algae. What happens is they'll do a water change or something, and the hair algae will get weak and start to die off before it can rebound. And at that point, when it's starting to die, the shrimp and the snails will really go for it and start eating it. And then, believe it or not, there's shrimp in those tanks too, but they're the most. There's one right there. There's a couple out on the rock. There's a Harlequin Sulu SA and a Cardinal, and they're very, very shy. Like, they're the one type of shrimp where if you stick anything in the water, they like automatically know that there's something going on, and what they do is they climb up underneath a rock and then they go into a cave and then they cling on for dear life. So they're the kind of the hardest shrimp to catch, and basically what you have to do is you got to remove the rock and shake the rock off, then shake the shrimp out of it to catch them. So then we've got the Opaula shrimp. They are a brackish style shrimp, but I am from Hawaii, born but raised in Florida. However, these guys, just like me, they're from Hawaii originally, but I've been breeding these for quite some time. They are one of the longest living shrimp. A lot of people will put these in the orbs or something like that, but I highly recommend keeping them in a nice tank with a filter because they breed like rabbits. They're a really cool shrimp, and they're super easy to take care of. These are the red variety. However, if you catch that guy, we've got some yellow morphs popping out, and just because of that, I'm going to start another tank and try and selectively breed the yellows to get my own line of Opaula going. Cool. And then here we've got our Neocaridinas. These are kind of like the most popular shrimp tank that everybody will go ahead and throw together. It'll be a little mix. You got different colors, red, orange, and blues going on here. And a lot of times when you mix the shrimp, you'll get wild type Neocaridinas. However, with these guys, I've been able to keep those three colors together, and I haven't gotten any wilds for 3 generations now. And what I'm trying to do is red is really dominant right now. I'm trying to get more of the orange and blues out of, you know, a certain percentage of every baby or female that releases eggs. So this shrimp right here is really cool because I've never noticed that phenotype before, where you've got the orange and kind of like a backline coming out. I've had yellows with a backline, but I've never seen orange with a backline form like that. And it's kind of like whiter than it is like a off orange or something, where normally the backline is kind of like a off color of what the body of the shrimp is. And these are the newest type of Neocaridina shrimp that we got in. They are the green rillies, or they're definitely a variety of green emerald rilly, because there's only a dark green, there's no different shades of green and hues. And then here we've got some red rillies, but I'm trying to get them to be red rilly blue body, and I created these by crossing Bloody Mary and Blue Dreams together. So you get some of them that still have the clear body, you get some of them that are straight blue, but then every now and then you get red with the blue hue. And then the one right up there who sitting on top of the piece of wood, he's probably the nicer one in the tank and doesn't want to come to the front. We breed so many different varieties of Caridina and Neos that we always try to keep, you know, 2 tanks of every type of shrimp that we breed going, and then we want to work with different crossbreeding projects and stuff like that, so we're always in need of new tanks. And then on this wall we used to have 46 tanks. However, it just wasn't enough. I had some 55s that were taking up too much space, and I was only going 3 or 4 tiers high, and now we can go 4 rows all the way up. So we were able to fit 110-gallon tanks on this rack. It was kind of hard for me to get 10 gallons. Petco ran out. They had their $1 per gallon sale going on when I built the rack. It was over, but it's already back in effect. And I needed one 10-gallon tank to go up on the top. And lucky enough, Petco had one 10-gallon tank in stock. So we got to get that tank cycled and going. But all 100 tanks are now on the rack. And we do have lids on most of them to stop with evaporation. We do have a couple of shrimp in the tanks, but I've just taken my time and selective grabbing certain shrimp with certain traits to put in these tanks, because these are all going to be pretty much project tanks for me. So this is my tank from this year for the Florida State Fair. I did it really quickly. It wasn't grown in or anything like that, and we got best of show with this tank, but Jaden got best of show with his tank, and then Shelby did a really good job, and Shelby went first, so she kind of set the bar, so I knew how hard I had to go the next day in order to beat her. So I really threw the entire kitchen sink in there. There's a couple things that shifted because I moved this tank from here, from the Florida State Fair to here to Aquashella and back home. So it's done its rounds. So the cool thing about our Florida State Fair is this Aquarium Beautiful contest, and they have like 42 different categories. So one of the categories is no live plants, and what ends up happening is everybody enters with the fake plastic plants and the colorful glow ones and stuff like that. So what I did was just a simple hardscape. And that didn't take me very long to set up. What took me super long was breaking up 400 pounds of dragonstone in order to get spikes, basically.
So this is my tank for the Florida State Fair. I tried to one-up Grant. I really wanted to win Best of Show this year, so I really tried my hardest. Put everything in here. I've been growing a lot of these plants outside of this tank and other tanks, and kind of pieced it all together. It's been running for several months now. We actually took this to Aquaticon too. A lot of people took pictures there, and it's doing really overall pretty well. We did have our beta fish in there for a little bit, so I got some videos on that, but now it's just a shrimp tank with a lot of shrimp in it now. So this tank is a friend of ours, Jerry Jobs. He scaped this for which?
Dr. Tim's booth.
Dr. Tim's booth, and didn't want to take it home, so we got the chance to take the aquascape home, which is like one of our favorite things to do, is pack up aquascapes and take them home. And we've had that running for, it's almost been a year now.
Yeah, Aquashella Dallas is in less than 90 days. Beautiful Achilles fish in there. So we got a lot of tanks in the house, and one of the rules that Shelby kind of set in the beginning was no tanks in the kitchen, no tanks in the bedroom, no tanks in the bathroom. And the only rule that still stands today is no tanks in the bathroom. But we ended up moving some dressers around, and there's like enough room in the corner there for a nice size rack. And she sent me to Home Depot with a budget of $80, and I ended up getting that rack on clearance for $75. I came home, I put it together as fast as I could before Shelby could realize what was going on. And when she saw it all completed, she's like, "What is that? You spent way more money than we talked about, and that's not gonna fit." And I go, not only is it gonna fit, I stayed under budget, and I can go back and get another one, and we can make 2 of them fit in the room. And she's like, "Oh, what are we gonna do with the TV?" And she's like, "No, it's not gonna fit." And I was like, "No, it'll fit. I measured it out, everything will work." She's like, "I don't believe you." And I was like, "Let's make a bet. If everything fits, we'll run with it and make it work." And yeah, long story short, here we are. We've got quite a few tanks in here. She said no tanks above the TV, but then we ended up getting leopard geckos, and the only real reason why she didn't want tanks above the TV was because of the water. I flood a lot. It's a bad habit of mine. We have tile floors, so I can kind of let it go a little bit more than others. But above a TV, that's absolutely not gonna work. So leopard geckos, no chance of flood, and the TV's safe, so we got tanks up there, but we packed as much as we could into our room. And then down here we've got our most expensive shrimp. We got our Galaxy Pintos, and some of them you could consider as being on the boa side, and that's where the shrimp start getting over $100 per shrimp in the price tags. And then here we have it at the final stage of shrimp breeding. I always tell everybody, if you can breed the blue bolts or any of the Taiwan bees, you can basically breed any of the shrimp out there. You can start with Michelins, which are a crystal shrimp with the Taiwan bee gene. So they would look just like these shrimp right here, only they would be het for the more expensive shrimp on the side. And they could throw any of the Taiwan bees. You got the red King Kongs up here, you've got black King Kongs, shadow pandas, shadow Mizuras, blue and red bolts, but they're all Taiwan bees. You can keep them all in the same tank together and they won't mud up the genes or turn brown or into a wild variety or anything like that. And so you can keep the crystal shrimp together. If you're doing everything perfectly right, you'll get not just crystal shrimp, but Taiwan bees as well. And it's a way you can get, you know, a $10 to $20 shrimp by only spending $4 on the original parents that you're gonna breed together. And if you can breed the Taiwan bees, they're just as difficult as any of the boas. They call them shadow bees because 2 layers of pigment overlap one another. Unlike the crystal shrimp like here, there's only 1 layer of pigment, so they don't look as thick of a shell and as nice of a color as the black King Kongs were. But where the blue bolts or the shadow Taiwan bees, they have 2 layers of pigment. So here you can see where the blue overlaps on the white, and then the deeper the blue, the nicer the color, the more money that they are. But they're just as easy to keep as any of the other Caridina shrimp. As long as you set the tanks up right, with the right substrate and the right water and filtration that isn't going to suck up the babies, all the shrimp are super easy to take care of.